G'day everybody, and welcome to Space Engineers staring at the Ronco in a very different environment to what it's normally in. Because in Wrong Way Out, we definitely need a better mining rig. But it's kind of sometimes a bit difficult to design such a thing in an environment where you don't have a jetpack, and an environment where you, well, kind of have 3 cats to herd most of the time. So I thought maybe I'd toy with some concepts for this, but also toy with some general concepts for piston, rotor, hinge-based mining rigs that might be useful for a planned tutorial I have on building those sorts of mining rigs. Some of the things that you can do that may be disadvantageous, some of the things you can do that might be useful. One of the things that I wanted to experiment with here, particularly though, was the idea of minimizing the number of pistons in the design. Pistons are kind of useful at times, but they have a tendency to, once you need to stack them, still be quite large. They only extend to 3 times their length, which sounds like a lot, but it often ends up not being. So what I was thinking of doing was seeing if I could come up with a hinge apparatus that maybe does include pistons in between the hinges, but a hinge apparatus that effectively ends up concertinaing but extending in a perfectly straight line, so that you could then extend those hinges until they're straight and then extend pistons beyond that point to hopefully have a drill rig that can actually reach the normal depth of a vanilla ore deposit, 70 to 90 meters. If it can reach that sort of depth while not being too gigantic on top of the rover, that's a genuinely useful design. Yeah, something maybe like a scissor lift, that sort of things. Fewer pistons but more subgrids, yeah, exactly. So I figured, since I was kind of wanting to figure this out around the Ronco, it also would probably work with any sort of rover design. It's the sort of thing that could be useful anywhere. I figured I'd just use the Ronco as the thing because, well, I need to figure one out for this anyway. Hi, bye, Nab. Sorry I missed you before I went live. Thank you for the raid. Thanks, Tonino. Thank you for 25 months. Thank you very much. And thank you, Goldie Deluxe. Thank you for the Prime sub. Yeah, it's going to see if I can do some bigger drilling. So, first of all, let's get rid of the offending evidence. Now, the big decisions for a rover-based mining setup on something like this tend to be, well, the biggest decision tends to be, where do we actually mine? Do I dig off to the side, which has some significant disadvantages? Do I dig and have a mining shaft right down the middle of the rover, which also has some significant disadvantages? Or do I try to go either off the front or off the back? Now, in the case of the Ronco, there is a decent amount of space between the wheels. We can comfortably fit a 3 wide drill head in this space, maybe even a 5 wide if we move it half a block off. Could fit here. So that's fairly large. The downside is trying to line up something off to the side is really quite tricky. And that's where maybe something that can reach over the front and then mine would be advantageous. Because then I can line up to those little boulders, I can do those sorts of things. Off the back would normally be somewhere that I'd consider as well, but I think in this case, again, lining up to something is easier when you're lining up near the control point. So having to reverse up to something is always more complicated than going on the front. Now, if I'm going to go from the front, I probably want to have the attachment point not right at the front here, but actually probably somewhere back where it was. So I'm thinking front is what is the way to go. For the moment. Thanks, One Free Gamer. Thank you for the prime sub. True tracks. That is another good point about the disadvantage of the front versus the rear of a vehicle is that if you make too big a mining hole, you can't drive over it. So you have to reverse up anyway. And so digging too much out the front can be a problem. But the Ronco doesn't really suffer from that. You can have a massive hole and this thing can just trundle straight over it. Now, let's think about what we need here. I'm not going to need too many of the fancy blocks, but I'll put my usual blocks on the lead hotbar. Then, as per usual, third hotbar is where I put all my piston rotor hinge. Second, we'll go and put the conveyor bits. And see what else I need after that. Taz, never, ever, ever, never, 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 ever, never, 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 never a drag drill. Surface mining with drag drills
Fuel critical.
has never worked for us. Ever. It's just a disaster. It's, oh, you just, the number of things we explode when we try and use drag drills is just ridiculous. Unfortunately, beef for dinner, that sort of problem with the Twitch app sounds like a common problem with the Twitch app. The Twitch app is pretty awful. What would I call the ice drill in Survival Impossible? That would be a push miner. Because I drove forward into the stuff that I was mining. I didn't drag it behind. I think in small grid you can do a drag miner. I should rephrase that. Large grid drag miners, there's so much mass and so much inertia on every single thing you do that you can't really have a drill that's going to survive a collision. But with small grid, there's less mass, so you probably can survive most of that. So, what I'm thinking is to set this up more like I would set up a crane in the initial part of it. So, one of the things that I rarely do, and that I really should do more often when I build cranes and build these sort of this sort of apparatus, is build a counterweight. So I was thinking of putting something out the back this side as a bit of a counterweight, maybe even putting a cargo container in there that's set to be full of stone or something. Obviously, given this is the Ronco, probably not a cargo container, but rather a connector. Oops, didn't mean to click then. Because what I was thinking of was this would go, when we get in, I'm kind of going to build this at the position of deployment and then see what I can do to improve it to make it, oop. Okay, we're going to need to lose that bed. It's going to upset Capac, which will make me happy. And the reason for the rotor at the base is if I don't perfectly line the rover up, at least I can adjust this a bit. In fact, this could possibly be done with pistons, couldn't it? So I can extend this part. Yeah, the big deployable drills do have their I really like to shake problem. That is absolutely true. Piston the counterweight? Yeah, I probably could do that too. Though I think having it fixed for the moment makes sense because it means I don't underestimate its position. It doesn't need to be a huge amount of counterweight, but I think some will just stabilize it a fair bit. That's quite high. That's adding a lot of extra elevation beyond what I might want to do. Wonder. Could I lower this while the drill is active and have it follow a straight path? I don't think I can. I think hinge in the middle makes more sense so that it can just go forward. Like, I think it's going to need to go up a bit for things to be able to unfurl. Oh, actually, that's probably what I want to do.
Fuel critical.
If I build it, this is just to allow for unfurling. If it then, when it's actually ready to drill and at ground height, is when it gets down to 0. So if I build it at this position, and it can all drill at that position, then that should work well, which means one less piston as well. Does it? Maybe? Yeah, maybe. I fully expect that I'm going to have to, like, snap bits of this off and add extra points of motion, like movement into it and things like that to make this work, especially to make it foldable at the end. What I was thinking from here was we go with hinge and piston. This could go to 80 degrees, I think is probably about right. Then this is the bit I don't know how to figure out. I think it's double hinge. And then piston again. And then we go... Okay, so that's sitting level. Oh, this should be able to go all the way to 90. Maybe? How many of these elbows can I fit in to add to the length of this thing? How far is this going to actually allow me to extend? And is this going to move straight? Yeah, the pinch points are going to be a problem. Let's make this a little less than full. Let's go to 85. That's at 85. And then this one. that goes back to perfectly level. I don't really want perfectly level there, do I? Taz, I'm not sure how that would work here. Because if it's folded up, unfolding it while it drills doesn't work. So what I'm building right now, so with this double hinge here, this can, to stow itself, fully flip over the top and be stowed over the counterweight at the rear. But if I were to have this all collapsed going upwards, I can't extend it to push the drills into the dirt. That's where I see the problem being. That's why I think it needs to be underneath so they can all move in the direction that they need to go to unfurl. And then the pistons can go. Demonic Wolf, the crane arm that I've used in Scrapyard, I don't think it will achieve what I need to achieve here. Well, so this height that I'm adding right now would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's already what's that? Come on, brain. Why is my brain not working this out? Like 17.5 meters?
Critical.
17.5 meters plus the extra 20 from each of the pistons. From the pistons. You know, it's a lot for what would be the space of one piston in a vertical space. What I was thinking was going like this and then doing another one. Another doubling back. I honestly don't know how to make this work. And this is why I wanted to do it in creative mode first. And possibly get you guys to help me figure it out. Because I'm not sure. The drill head, I was thinking 5 drills wide. I was thinking something like this. What's that? That's 5 pistons. So it'd be 6 pistons, which gets me 60 meters, plus the extra actual length of this, which means I probably get close to the depth that I was hoping for. Yeah, true. That is a side of it that I wasn't really thinking about. The size of the drill hole and whether these will fit as they go down. That is a good point. It's a very good point. You get the end angles equal of 90. You should be able to just reverse on the hinges to extend them simultaneously. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I just need to get the angles right and the position of the drill head right. So to be this, then this goes down. We put a rotor on, and then we realize that we don't have enough room because we need to have a conveyor and then the drills. And I'm just shy of having enough space, so maybe we can cheese that a little bit. With just a touch of elevation here. Hello? Oh, I know what's happening. It was stuck. This is going to make the rover so top heavy. Little bit, but the rover's actually, like, compared to a standard Space Engineers rover, the Ronco is super, has a super low center of mass. Because the axle height is really basically body height. The top of the wheels, none of the mass, before this drill, none of the mass actually goes above the height of the top of the wheel. So it's actually pretty good on that front. So much jiggling. All right. We need to resolve the jiggling a little bit. Come on. Bit less jiggling, please. Still less jiggling, please. Oh, man. He's really unhappy. I'm actually wondering if using hinges is the right idea here. Or if I would be better off using rotors and making this all side-mounted. Hinges feel like they'd be more compact? I don't know if that's true.
Critical.
Ah, cool. Thanks, Beef for Dinner. Thank you for letting me know that. I will pass that on to people if they have issues with the Twitch app to try using a VPN if they can. At least for a little bit of routing. Okay, so what I want to test first is if I turn on all the drills, how bad does it get? And then secondly, if I turn on all the drills and I lower this hinge, does it get safely down there? Yes. The jiggle will be a whole bunch of things here. It'll be the jiggle of the drills and the mass there. It'll be the pistons wanting to bend because there's a lot of mass held at the end of the pistons. It'll be, as you say, these pistons being pushed against each other a little bit. Okay, if this one goes all the way up to 90, and this one goes all the way to 90 as well, and this one goes all the way to 90 as well, that puts it perfectly under there. So my theory is these two need to go at the same speed so that they will perfectly match each other. But I think those two need to go double the speed of the pair of each one of a pair. So these two combined go the same speed as this one. I think that's right. Hinge double. Oh, actually we'll go hinge single, because this is the single hinge. And we'll get hinge single on this one too. Armor placed to increase the mass of the piston head sections to reduce the vibration. Well, I've got share inertia tensor on, so that should be doing that same task. Yeah, you're right, actually. The double hinges are going twice as far, though. In the time that the single hinges need to go 90 degrees, the double hinges need to go 180, so all of the hinges should be going the same speed. Let's see what happens. That tolerated that surprisingly well. Yeah, all the hinges go 90 degrees, so they should all go the same. Actually, I need to set their limits. Minus 90 to 0. They should all be from minus 90 to 0. The way I've set them up. Velocity of minus 0.2. I have no idea how fast it can tolerate this. In fact, it's probably even going to need to be slower than that. Yeah. Alright. Reverse. Let's see what happens. Oh, it needs to be a lot slower than that. But that is moving where it should.
Fuel.
It's moving in line. I'm just waiting for it to snap. I do have damage turned on. And I built a carjack. Yep. A carjack that doesn't use landing gear. I am fascinated how far this is going before anything takes damage. This is ridiculous. Oh, that's another good point, TFE. That's a really good point for why to have the drill off the front. If the drill's off the front, it's a lot harder to forget to retract it. That's a good point. That's a big advantage to having it on the front. I am seriously thinking this is going to reach full extension. It's even lifting the middle wheels off the ground. Do I build this while I'm floating down the river and use this to grab my way out of the river on the Ronco? Yeah, if it gets straight, I'm doing the pistons too. I wanted to kind of measure the distance, actually. We've got... This is all being supported on that drill. I think it's just that one drill. Oh, maybe this one's contributing too, actually. So the extension we've got is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So there's 21 blocks there. Minus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 16 blocks is 40 meters. So we'll get 40 meters down just on the hinges. Then we get another, then we get 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 meters down. Thanks, Wildcat. Thank you for 18 months. What's the mass on the rover right now? Yes. 783 kilos? 783 tons, sorry.
Fuel critical.
Alright, piston. Extend. Piston. Yotta newtons. Yeah, the Ronco's not super heavy because we haven't really built a lot yet. When is this? If I didn't do this in creative mode, you know this would have exploded by now. But because it's creative mode, it's like, no, I'm going to give you a false sense of security. I'm going to make you think you can do this in survival, and this will be fine. Even though it really, really, really won't. Yeah, I think what is an appropriate reaction? This is either going to be spectacular or very disappointing when it finally snaps. Huh. Or is it going to tip to one side? Is that going to be the undoing of it? So it is leaning a little bit. Well, the pistons are at full extension. Now what we need is more force on the hinges. Ah. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Eh, the drill snapped off. We got somewhere eventually. And one tree broken. Beef for dinner, is that 0.016 RPM? You've said degrees per second, but degrees per... How do I convert degrees per second to revolutions per minute without getting a calculator out? It's like times by... divide by 6? Multiply by 6? There's some... I feel like there's a 6 in there. Okay. So the hinges need to be very, 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 very slow. So let's start that. See how slow we need to go. Minus 0.001. Reverse. Because they need to be even slower because the rotating drill head. If the drill head had more drills, I could go faster. Thanks, Bill Nick. Thank you for the 26 months. I don't know if the hinges are actually doing anything. I think they are. They are very slowly doing something. Nah, Talk, you didn't miss anything. Nothing at all. Also, hadn't noticed, but someone put like an extra bracing bit underneath the rear section where the tree sits.
Fuel critical.
What did I set the hinges to? 0.001? I don't know. .001 revolutions per minute. So if you times that by 360, you get the degrees per minute. Then you divide it by 60 and you get the degrees per second. So if you just times it by 60, you get the degrees per second. So that would be 0.06 degrees per second. I think. But it can certainly go faster than that. I think it can probably go double the speed it's currently going. And this is always the trickiest part with these sorts of things, is having the patience to wait for being slow enough. While there are some advantages to using a hinge chain as a chain, there are some significant challenges to it. Ignoring the massive number of subgrids causing horribly awful experience for wasted. The other problem is to have something like that drill in a straight line, you need to have something for those hinges to roll over. And having a subgrid interact with a wheel on a suspension, which is what you'd need to do so that they don't cause damage to each other. That interaction's probably not going to go very smoothly, especially since our wheels are spheres, not cylinders. If it was a cylinder, you'd probably get a better interaction because it wouldn't need to be perfectly on the center. But because it's a sphere, it's going to be putting a bit of torsional force on it because it's wanting to roll off that sphere. A cross-shaped drill can drill faster, but they don't store as neatly. Which is why I tend to go with a flat drill head. Yeah, I suppose SC drills going across two wheels would maybe be better, but again, you still kind of need to be in the perfect spot because between two spheres, you're still going to get some push one way or the other, and the whole system's not going to be super happy about that. So there's still no contacting with the ground, so I reckon I can speed this up a little bit further. We can just leave this test running for a while. See how deep it really gets. Hinge. Velocity. Add another half speed to it. Vidheader, I would see if I can do this without using Park. Just for the challenge of it. I can stow this without that. Because of our new go to X direction at Y speed, go to X position at Y speed commands that we can send with timer blocks and things, this should be stowable and deployable without that. And it's kind of nice to, I find it's always nice to see if I can do something with vanilla if I can.
Fuel critical.
Yeah, I think having two wheels would potentially allow you to get that better balance so that if it pushes too far one way, the other wheel will push it back, sort of thing. But yeah, I love a good hinge chain. They are just so satisfying, but they are performance hogs. Massive performance hogs. Yes, each piston at full extension is 15 meters long. I think this thing should be able to get down to 100 meters below the surface. I'm just trying to see how fast it can do that, and I think it can go faster than it is. Let's go to 0.0035. Yeah, Spectre, I've tried a similar thing in Survival Impossible where I had a cockpit on the end of a like I was testing it for Survival Impossible. I was trying to build a controllable welder that was on the end of a bunch of pistons and things, but I was trying to control it with thrusters. It doesn't work. I think if you're going to try and control something that's on the end of a bunch of pistons and rotors and things, what you actually need is a script that can do inverse kinematics and figure out the positions of all those things and where they need to be in order to get the thing you're controlling to where you want it to be. It is remarkably stable, and on the server this will be, I suspect, more stable, not less. So, because I wanted to allow us to use grinder pits if we choose to try and set them up, I've actually turned off tool shake on the server, so we can make proper grinder pits. So me leaving tool shake on in this local save means that I get some of the jiggle and shake and problems that you get from a server, but then on the server I have the server jiggles and not the drill jiggles. Yeah, tune in next stream, we'll start pulling the drill back up. That is a problem. That is a problem with this sort of drilling. It is the sort of thing you start at the beginning of the stream and it reaches the bottom at the end. But... actually, is that... No, there's no but there. I'd have to make the drill head small grid if I wanted us to be able to right-click drill to reach down to the ore quickly. No large grid control seats. But I've left plenty of room, so that would be quite feasible. All you have to do is replace this with a small grid drill head, small grid piston rotor thing. Man, words. Replace this rotor head with a small grid one, and then build this whole apparatus out of like 7 small grid drills. Build them far enough away from the rotor part that they don't damage it. Put a cockpit on there. Someone sits on that cockpit and holds down right click, and you send the thing down much more quickly. Yeah, if you want to make it really, really heavy, you could also just make the entire thing a giant drill. Yeah, I think this can still go faster. Wish there was a mod for allowing right-click function as a mode switch. Yeah, so do I. I'm surprised. There must be some real hidden function there that's that stops it. Let's go faster. We can still go faster. You can right-click from a remote control block. A remote control is still a control seat. So they're against our rules just the same. Okay. Yeah, Calbros. The good thing about ore deposits in Space Engineers is if you're in the middle of... Let's see if I can spot one around here. Quickly. Here we go. You can see this these ore markings beneath me. The slight grey patch. Especially if I sit still and the grass doesn't mess with it too much. If I go further out, maybe it'll be more obvious. We got... Ah, here we go. Here's a better one. So we've got this ore patch here, and although it's patchy on the surface, underneath you have a complete block of ore. So as long as we drive into the middle, we really shouldn't have a risk of being in the wrong place and only like glancing an edge of a bit of the deposit as we go through. In theory. In practice, not 100% sure, but in theory, I think that's right. Now, this is the bit I was worried about. Whether it's actually going to collide with this hinge against the side here, or whether it will have gotten to enough of an extension first that will have snuck within the reach of the drill head. That's my main worry for how compact this is. 'Cause if that one fits in, then they all fit in. However, see, if there is a right-click drill action mod, I'd potentially consider that. If it's a plug-in, nah. But if it's a mod, I'd certainly consider using that. Unfolding in stages is tricky. That's where it gets tricky, because at the moment, this hinge is the one that's counteracting this one. So I'd have to add an extra hinge in the middle of one of these to make it so I don't have to figure out mathematics. And to keep the thing centered as it goes down. That'd be where you'd kind of need to extend this one at normal, these two at normal, and then this one at like something like half the speed. And then when this one hits 45 degrees, then all these other ones have to kick in. It's all gets weird. So I think if I do this, I'd prefer... Oh, this is going to be tight.
Fuel
This
critical.
might just make it. Hey, Zach. Daventryk, I'm not playing in a... I'm playing just creative, just messing around, trying to design some things here. Space Engineers is, by default, yes, does have some things you can go kill. With mods, has even more and more fun ones. I think it's going to be close. I think there's a chance this will get past. Thanks, Papa Tim. Yeah, Papa Tim, we were just talking about hinge chains and steerable things on the end, and they're not really feasible. I think if I had a really good handle on MRMOS, I could maybe do something a bit like that. But I think once you add too many too many points along something like that, it just becomes a performance issue anyway. How's the depth speed? It's pretty good. It's not bouncing. It's getting pretty close though. And the thing is, all my speed calculations will be wrong once I add an extra drill head, an extra drill on each side. Which is annoying. Yeah, Beefadina, you're right. The speed will change as the hinges get closer and further from their start to finish points. So I can go faster at different points in it. Which is complicated. But also doable with event controllers to at least do it within like segments. So say from minus 90 to minus 80, they can go a certain speed. From minus 80 to minus 70, they can go another speed, 70 to 60. And I could do like 9 different event controllers that ratchet up the speed. Because I'd probably want to have a way to retract this drill quickly rather than just setting it to reverse. Yeah, step trigonometry thing that I don't fully understand because I had a really bad year 8 maths teacher. That did not help the fact that I was a very good student up until that point. So I think I will blame it on the teacher. He just didn't seem to care enough. And so most of that trigonometry stuff is the bit of maths that I just cannot get my head around. Maybe I will by the time Toby reaches that point. Because I'll try and learn it with him. Yeah, Eisen, there is certainly a little bit of a tradesman blaming their tools there, but there's also... I was 12. Yeesh. Oh. That's so possibly within tolerance. Thanks, Simino. Thank you for the 15 months. I'm doing a fair bit better today. My throat's still a bit sore, but nowhere near what it's been. The main reason I'm avoiding adding the extra drills to the others on the outside is that doing so will make this whole thing have to run slower.
Fuel critical.
Usually. Alright, I'm gonna reverse these hinges because that is colliding. That's not happy. I reckon that would eventually cause damage. And I've actually got an idea of how I can do it without that causing damage. Actually, let's briefly turn off damage. I'm gonna copy this. We're gonna leave that one running just so that we've got one that's gonna get itself down into the hole, because it will get there. It's just not gonna get there exactly as I'd like. Then we'll do this. Retract those hinges. There we go. Thanks, Reaper Gaming. Thank you for the prime sub. Let's cut you out. Paste you somewhere else, because that's a weird hole. Turn damage back on. And now, we can add the small head. Because I think with the small head, I can probably manage to get this to the exact dimensions that will allow it to pass without going much wider than it needs to be. Yeah, that's still scraping as it goes down the side there. It's very close though. So, need to give enough clearance that we don't damage the drill head. I mean the rotor head. So we'll do that, then a conveyor converter. I know I don't think I need quite this much, but I think it's also not a harm to have it be this much. What is this wheeled monstrosity? This is the Ronco. Possibly one of my weirdest but most effective designs that I've come up with for one of these challenges that I've also come up with. I was so proud of myself when I came up with the idea. It was just one of those things that hit me straight after the stream. I'm like, I know how to do next week! I know how to do next week! Yes! It's stupid, but I think it's gonna work. And then I made a giant banana out of it. Yeah, Trickster, the side-mounted drills, like mounting one like this, they certainly work quite well. And would probably give that extra clearance needed. You're absolutely right. But you're also absolutely right, they're not very neat. And because of our chat earlier, I figured having some sort of way to do right-click drilling here would probably be a good idea. Because if we can right-click and drill, we can get down to the deposit much faster and then just drill the actual ore. So say we're going for magnesium, we can actually get there, stop the whole thing, switch it to a regular mode, and the person down there, yeah, what do we do about the person down there? This needs to be a remote control. We can't build remote controls. Can we? Did I leave them? I did leave them for small grid. Yeah, this needs to be a remote. Trying to do this from a seat. The person down there is not coming back. There's no jetpack. Okay. So let's see. How many blocks is this across compared to what we've got with the regular one? So a standard drill, one drill would end, the middle drill would end there.
Critical.
As in that'd be inside the drill, this is on the outside. Then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the next drill. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the next drill. Okay, so we're just a bit wider. We're a fraction wider. But because we can right-click drill, we don't need to worry because we can make it heaps wider at the start, meaning the hinges should be able to get to full extension on the right-click. So, what we're going to do is grab those hinges, create a group, drill hinges, save. Then drill head rotor. So drill head rotor. What I need is the remote. Oops. And then we go drill head rotor, set velocity to 3, and need a control group for the drills. Not in this case, but not initially, but we do need one after. Toggle on off. And then the hinges. Now, I'd set this to 0.0... Was it 005 or 0.05? Let's go check.
Critical.
Is the remote necessary for the right-click drilling? For the specific use case I'm looking at here, yes. Because this is for wrong way out. Where we don't have large grid control seats. In general, maybe not, but in this specific use case, yes. And that's also why it's converted to small grid, to fit within the rule set that we're working with. Because, at the very least, myself and Wasted really enjoy engineering solutions around unusual restrictions in Space Engineers. So, every Wrong Way series has been me coming up with a restriction set that drives a specific type of engineering solution. I don't know what those solutions are until we actually get going. I don't know even... Sometimes I don't even know what some of the problems are until we get going. In this case, removing control seats from large grid created a much bigger problem with stopping than with going. And I didn't predict that one little bit. Now, I was fully expecting that the going was going to be the biggest problem. But stopping was. And so what I had to do was come up with a way to make wheels that we could stop. And so I thought, oh yeah, we can make rotors as the axle, and if we use suspensions mounted around it like this, those wheels can be stopped because we just stop the wheels. Thanks, Tedian. Thank you for 23 months. Don't worry, literally everybody forgets the gyros. Yeah, Alpha Hound, on the proper thing, I probably do want to have a camera. In this instance, I'm not going to worry about building a camera because we don't really need it. But yeah, should totally have a camera on the proper one. Okay, so next thing we need is groups, drill hinges, and I think we can set velocity of 0.01. We can double compared to what we had before on the other one. Because what we're going to do is we're going to start the drill head turning. We're going to turn on right click drill. Just do this so I don't have to hold down right click. And then we will start the hinges. And unfortunately, I'm now trapped in this seat. But because this is right clicking, we should be able to go even faster than this. So I'll try double. See if it tolerates that. Because that actually, like, that's moving fast enough that I can see the movement. You're always surprised the Bronco doesn't slide sideways. It's one of those quirks of the wheels being spheres. The position, the point of the wheel that actually touches the ground doesn't really have much ability to roll very far. And then it's counteracted by ones on the other side not wanting to roll that way. The very top hinge is not part of the group, no. This is looking good. I can probably go even faster with the right click. Those drill heads are nowhere near the ground. I think this is going to be the real key to this drill head, having a setup that allows us to get down to the deposit quickly. The height number sliding by is funny, yeah. It's a bit odd. Let's go faster again. Actually, I should probably set velocity 0.02. Set velocity. Oh, no, we just had a bit of a collision. Maybe I don't want to go faster than this. 0.03. Set velocity 0.04. And instead of this being an automated thing initially, what I could do is just have this set up with a bunch of different speeds, and I can increase the speed as the angle changes. So that we get a feel for how fast it can really go. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 10. Let's go up to 4. Now that we've extended a bit. Thanks, Jimmy. Thank you for the prime sub. I'm glad to have provided some distractions. Oh. Scraped for a little bit, but this is running smooth overall, I think. And I reckon this is going to reach the bottom before the other one does. The other one's getting close, though. So... what I... it's so weird, that HUD marker going past. The X-shaped drill head is something we talked about a bit earlier. The downside of that is the stowing. Although with small grid it might be able to stow a bit more neatly with the cross. But generally the stowing of the whole drill head once it's done its thing is the issue with cross shape. It's much larger to stow. It is much quicker. Because each drill only has to get through a 90-degree arc rather than 180. But it does have that downside. Let's go to spectator. Which I think is going to have stopped those drills. Nope. They're still going. Good. That's kind of a cool view of it. Being able to see both. I have 2 rows of small grid drills and open them up like an X-wing. I think that could look quite nice. We can experiment with that once I get to the stowing phase of this. Yeah, Immoral Titan, I think if you were... I think in the circumstance where you're not doing this as a live stream, you could totally just do a lopsided drill head that clears, that does a full sweep around. You get the maximum reach out of all your drills. But particularly in the live environment, I think the downsides of a slow drill head are just too great. They're just too much. Bomberman, I have played a fair bit of Scrap Mechanic, actually. Capac and I played about 50 hours of it. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That was starting to collapse back up again. Apparently, the limits had gone. I thought I'd set the limits on those hinges. Apparently, I had thought wrong. Whoopsie. Drill piston. Okay, the drill pistons are all named, I think. Come on, build vision. Why are you being like this?
Fuel critical.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks for the... Oh, sorry, likes. Thanks for the prime sub. Okay, they're all named drill piston. Now I can just turn the drills on. And extend the piston, and we'll see how low we are. 'Cause that's kind of... I can try and calculate these things all in my head, but I usually get it wrong, so I like to actually do a practical test. So let's turn the drills on first. Then we grab the drill pistons. And we reset their speed to something slow. There are 6 of them. If we have 6 of them, we can probably go at... Whoa. Normally for a straight piston, to be perfectly safe on a server, I don't go any faster than 0.1 meters per second total. But this has got a rotating drill head, so it's probably going to go even slower than that. So maybe 0.01 per? 0.01. See how that goes.
Fuel critical.
And hopefully, as those pistons go down, and then we can make a nice little GPS at the surface and see how far it is. Because so far, we have gone 38.9 meters. Why not right-click drill this bit too? Once I've found the safe speed, yeah, I probably can. But yeah, you're right. For the test, I could speed this up by right-click drilling. This appears to have stopped. Is that because it's gone back the other way? No. This just appears to have stopped. Weird. Weird. Real weird. I don't think I can go faster. This is too fast already, look. Those drill heads are colliding hard. These pistons are too quick. Just let it settle itself down. Yeah, I'm doing sort of two things here. I'm both researching this design to see how deep it can go, but also trying to find settings that'll work for us in our series. I might just grab some voxel hands. Quickly just help out with this corner where it's getting stuck. Because the whole rig has moved. Okay, that looks good. So what I was trying to wrap my head around before was, why is it that when we extend out the size of the drill arm, we have to slow the whole thing down? Because this drill takes just as long to get back to this spot as this drill. But I think the thing that's always worth remembering with this system is that Space Engineers doesn't update the voxel constantly. It does it sporadically. And so this one gets to spend more time over each bit and chip away a few bits each time it comes around. Whereas this one, if it's moving too fast, it might actually miss a bit. You can see, there goes a chunk, there goes another chunk. That was not a great angle to show that at. But you can see that the chunks kind of pop out periodically, so those ones that are further out, they might just miss those bits if they go too quickly. Oh, my dampeners were off. That was why that was weird. To go 0.1 meters every 10 seconds, which is how long it takes to rotate 180 degrees at 3 RPM, you need to extend the pistons. Is that the total, Big Danowski? Is that the each piston? Or is that the total speed of all the pistons? Of the 6 of them? That is each piston. 0.0016. Alright, let's try that out.
Fuel critical.
See if that's safe. 0.0016. Don't think it does any more. I don't think it cares about the next decimal point. Hey, I'll happily take other people's maths instead of having to do my own. Muffin Laser, I don't know. The way that multiplayer was listed on Keen's thing for Space Engineers 2 was not clear as to when it is planned. So I don't know. I don't have any insider info on that. And One Free Gamer, will you get an opportunity to do pre-release footage for SE2? I hope so. But that's up to Keen, not up to me. But it sounds like they're trying to get all the systems in and then figure out how to make it all work with multiplayer. But I would strongly expect that Keen have got multiplayer working in the background. And they'll be doing their own internal testing at each stage to make sure that it is functional enough. But then they'll be doing all the multiplayer tuning stuff when they plan to do the proper multiplayer bit. That seems to be going quite smoothly. At that speed. Kind of want to see if it can go a little bit faster. See if more than 0.1 meters per 10 second can be done. Try 0.002. Then I'm going to have to write down these numbers somewhere so that I can actually build this thing and not have it go completely wrong when Wasted, Capac, and TFE are there to make fun of me. Plus, you know, the 2,000 odd people that are watching. Arkern, in the last tutorial video I did, I was planning on looking at rovers next. The next 2, I think, will be rovers and then drills like this. I want to cover rovers first, because hinges, pistons, and rotors have their own complex quirks that I don't want to delay rovers until after that. I think you can have fun with rovers before you start messing around with this stuff as a new player. So that's my next one that I'm going to be working on. And probably start working on that day after tomorrow. Vanna Builder, nobody knows the answer to that question. Other than the bit you said about automation stuff. The automation stuff for Space Engineers 2 is not coming in the initial thing from everything they've said. Huh. Okay, so that's working quite well at that speed. Can I go a little bit faster? It's like I'm in creative mode and invulnerable. Maybe a tiny bit faster?
Fuel critical.
0.008 would move about 0.5 meters between drills covering the same spot at the outside. Okay, that sounds like it would be the max, the proper max then. So why don't we go up to 0.004? We'll do half that and see if half a small grid block is enough. This is looking good. I disagree, Gordon. I think most people try wheeled vehicles until they run into terrain problems. And then people who like wheeled vehicles because they are the coolest stick with them anyway. Oh, yeah, I think that's pushing the limit of this. That drill is looking very close, like it's coming into contact. Yeah, and I honestly think with the amount of promotional material that is out there where rovers are the big thing, there's a huge proportion of the player base that mess with rovers for a lot longer than the feedback from the game says they should. I'm one of those people. I love rovers. I spend ages trying to figure out ways to make playing with a rover fun, engaging, and feel necessary. Alright, that's looking good. Because I feel like a rovers are the thing that make games like this feel unique, different, special, better. Flying around is fun, but after a time, I want to watch, like, hang on. What did I call it? No, it wasn't train, it was, oh, poop. What did I call it? Road rage, here we go. Took so many blueprints of it because I didn't want to not have it, although... Like, how can you not want to have this? The way that the wheels flow over the ground is just... It's just special. It feels so good. The I think it's the fact that I find once I am building a rover, I don't feel like I'm as tied to the grid as I am when I build a ship, because I can put hitches. This is why I love trailers, because trailers, they're not tied to the grid. You're breaking the grid. You're separating it. Everything's going to look different. Everything's going to be off grid because that's how the trailer moves. Plus there's that. The smashing of trees. Oh! We've had a derailment.
Fuel critical.
Like, that's just fun. I've been thinking about the stuff that they haven't shown us yet for SE2 and how to still have some fun without it. So, like, no pistons, no hinges, no rotors, no wheels. I wonder what we can do to make things that function similar to them and the fun that we can have with that. That's true, yeah. Vox, the big part of rovers is that when you crash them or when you get shot, it's not always fatal. You can keep going a lot of the time. Alright, surface is now not in a perfectly straight line, but close enough. 55 meters down. Yeah, I think for the proper one, we're gonna have to figure out some sort of fun little collapsing drill design. So what I might do is retract this one and start trying to build that while that thing does its test. Oh. Lost the drill head. That's fine, because I wanted to lose it anyway. Alright, so for stowing, let's have a look at that. Yeah, this is where we may want to have a rotor in this system. So this thing can twist sideways and not sit so high. Because that is very high. I mean, at least it'll make the Ronco really easy to see if our beacon turns off. All right, let's try and add in the bit that needs to be added to make that collapse better. If this one goes 90 degrees less, yeah, like you could stop it. You could stop it there. That does feel less bad. Actually, I kind of like that. No, it's well overhead. I feel like that also makes it easier to have the extra drill arms. Yep, I'm gonna add in the bits. Yeah, I'll do a junction. So I've got attachment points for other things. So it'd be this sort of setup.
Fuel critical.
This is so ridiculous. I kind of want to add little hinges in this to make it so I can make the angles different. But I'm also wondering whether it might be possible to not have just 4, but go with, say, 6. So we can go even faster. All about that speed. Or if we're going to this sort of scale, do I just do what we talked about earlier and make a massive drill head that's just covered in drills? Damage is on, yes. And apparently they don't have to take any damage. Actually, I should check that. Have the ones... It seems only rotor parts take damage. The other blocks don't seem to. Because none of this is damaged. It's just clearing this rotor part from the drills that seems to be the important bit for damage on drill heads. Question is how this whole thing will behave. Yeah, we can test that in a minute. I'm sure it'll jiggle quite substantially as the Ronco bucks its way around. It'll make everyone except for me nervous. There you go. You want to see how this handles? Let's go. Full speed. Oh no. I don't have improvised experimentation on. Yeah, Defraggle, I've never liked locking things in place with a landing gear when they have subgrids that are providing force to push them into place. Because if the landing gear locks in the wrong position, you create phantom forces. So there are significant risks to doing that, and it's why it's never something I do or advocate for. It can make you feel better because things are jiggling less, but it can also create phantom forces and create a big problem with that. And again, the Fool, I don't like hinge and rotor lock either because they're weak. They don't work well. You can easily break a hinge or rotor lock. You can overwhelm them with fairly little effort. So I think braking torque and torque and shared inertia tensor to add mass are the answers that I think work best. Would rotating the drill set very fast help or hinder? There's kind of a sweet spot for speed because of the tick rate at which the voxel gets removed. If you rotate at the wrong speed, you'll kind of get into this resonance with when it gets removed, where it might not remove all the bits you want. You just don't want to hit that resonant frequency. Whatever rate you're moving, it just needs to not hit that resonant frequency. But otherwise, should be fine. Charge! Slightly disconcerting having that bouncing above your head. Whoa! Whoa! Tree! Tree! Uh-oh. Bad road. So many trees. Need the waggler. Maybe the drill arm can be the waggler. No, I think we just need an actual waggler. I mean, I think these hinges might need to be stronger, because that is collapsing down. Move that up. Have it continuously trying to return itself to position would be helpful as well. And the rotor that's down here is obviously going to be a problem too. Don't know what it just exploded then. Oh, the tail thing. That's fine. No, the fool. This is what I'm saying. Hinge and rotor lock would not have stopped that collapse. They're not strong enough. I've broken hinge and rotor lock so many times, especially on servers. They're not strong enough. Alright, I will be back in just a minute. I need to quickly do something, but I will be right back. Let's leave this being ridiculous. Yeah, I might just mute myself. I'll just leave you guys on this screen for a sec. I'll be right back. What'd I miss? What did I miss? How did that happen? Oh, went off a cliff. Okay. That makes sense.
Fuel.
I had to quickly call my barber because I realized I'd made an appointment to get my hair cut, and I'm like, I probably shouldn't give him hand, foot, and mouth disease. And so yeah, moved my appointment to next week. Aha! A clip for me to see. A clip so I can see my own stream. Perfect. Oh, wow. That's got some serious speed going. Oh, man. Did the explosion just give it enough force that it landed? Or was it still just traveling? That it managed to flip? Oh, that's glorious. And this, I guess this is proof of the resilience of rovers. Oh yeah, it was still moving at good speed before that hit. It's just momentum. Wow. Oh wait. It is less cluttered. It is also held together by hopes and dreams. Let's see how that drill hole's going. You need to do that with the others on board. Yeah. There's a part of me that wants to set up for the start of the next stream. I want to reload to where the Ronco was still up on the shore. Not because I want to have not gone in the water, but because I want to start the stream by just full speeding it straight into the water. Just for the fun of it. And the temptation is great. So, I mean, it held together pretty well. I think we're at full extension here. Oh no. Still got another section to go. How far down are we? "77 meters down." I think this is my best drill I've ever made. Vehicle mounted drill. Rajin, the idea for this vehicle came from me setting unusual engineering restrictions and then coming up with solutions to those restrictions. Solutions that surprised everyone, myself included. Yeah. I think that's as much as I can describe it. Muffin Laser, you mustn't have watched the end of the last VOD. Yeah, there's going to be another 15-ish meters in there, in the remaining 6. Or 18 meters or something like that. And the remaining bits of the piston. So it'll be close to, it's going to be close to 100 meters down. And with it collapsing to this size, that's not too bad. But do I really annoy Wasted and do this? Actually, I don't even know if it'll annoy him. I think he'll be snarky but amused. which is kind of par for the course when he's stuck playing Space Engineers with me.
Fuel critical.
So I'm thinking this. Because this thing should be able to go down a lot more quickly. If we put 8 on it. And do I do it with the subgrids just because I can? Or do I be sensible and actually just put out a solid drill head? Tiffy, we're sensible in Wrong Way Out when it's necessary. I think that's the best way I can say it. If it's necessary for the sake of performance, then we do it. Should probably have done the ones that are side by side at the outside rather than inside, but oh well. It's fine. Not sure why I'm doing this. Seemed like a good idea at the time. Honestly, I don't think it'll matter where the hinge is. The fact that I've reduced the arc between a drill set from 90 to probably 50 and 40, rather than 45 and 45, is probably not going to be a big deal. But yeah, I could move it so that the articulation point is perfectly in position. I've started this process now though, so I'm just like, meh. There we go. How's that for a drill head? It does feel like this is the not so smart option. It's the cool looking option though. It is going to get very heavy up there. This will also be a massive pain to build in survival. That's the other downside of a complex setup like this. It will take a long time to build. I mean, you could probably get this to do tree clearance if you do this. Sit it about there. And then set this to full speed. And that may well do pretty solid tree clearance for the center of the rover. It's gonna look awesome when it explodes. Yeah. It does kind of obstruct my line of sight a bit, which is unfortunate. Let's see how this does work against the trees. I'm curious now. I want to know. Inquiring minds want to know.
Fuel critical.
Off we go. Let's sit in the chair. That's usually safer. Off. That is a lot of subgrids hitting against each other. It's working against the trees though. Look at that. Oh, no. That's wrong. That's bad. How has that not exploded yet? Huh. It's like an elephant trampling on its own trunk. Huh. Just one second, I need to close the door. The birds are being loud. Oh, finally came to a stop. This is surprising.
Fuel critical.
Okay, what's gonna happen if I do this? Nothing. That's proper wedged. Yeah, that's so stuck. That's a grind down rebuild situation there. Okay, we'll get rid of that. That's not going to help performance having that sitting around. Yeah, much as I love this design, I think it's pretty much going to be a no on the extra drill front. Looks cool. Yeah, that's a fair point. I didn't build the drill head on the ground, and then I've got access to all the... Then it's much easier to actually get all the bits and do the thing. Are we at full extension? Almost. Am I happy with this position? Not this position. This position. Am I happy with it sitting like that when it's stowed? I think so. Pistons horizontal instead of vertical. Yeah, but it won't look so balanced that way. It looks nicely balanced this way. Because one side will be heavier than the other, and then that might actually, if they're sitting horizontal, that might actually cause a problem. Because there will be one side heavier and trying to twist it. So that might actually be a problem. I think, let's stop this and let's see what we can do with a normal drill head. Alright, so if we pop off those. There. Then, I think to make this work, what I probably want to do is do like a crosshatch of these. But what I probably want to do more than that, in fact, is not so worried about these internal ones. Because they don't really matter. It's only the outer ring that matters. So if I was going to make a circle, what I need is the radius, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we go pixel circle generator. Circle width would be 27. That's what we need to make. No, wouldn't it be 25, wouldn't it? It's 13. It's 25 I need to work with. So that's 1, 2, 3. Then we go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And we start again and we do it with symmetry mode.
Fuel critical.
Now we try that again. 2, 3. What if the accordion was extended backwards? I guess you could possibly do that, but then it ends up having to be horizontal to do that. Or really, really tall to fit backwards. So it's 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2. 2, 2. There we go. We have pixel circle. And then we can see where we can put the drills on that. So probably want to go with, say, drill there. No, that one's not that one. Probably want to see if I can fit 2 drills in here, and I don't think I can. Oh yeah, I can. Do that. Got a rough circle of drills, and then you can just fill in the gaps with a few drills in there so that it's still quick. I honestly think that's all just too heavy, isn't it? Yeah, Fonzie, I was talking about this before. The locking something down with a landing gear is probably okay as long as you turn off any of the movements or any of the things that are attached to it trying to move. But I tend to have my hinges actively trying to put themselves back in place. And so if the landing gear locks at a position where those hinges are still trying to work against that landing gear, you've then got phantom forces and your whole rover is going to flip because you can create so much more torque out of those phantom forces than anything else in the game. Yeah, this might be overkill. It's certainly more stream friendly once it's built because it'll be able to mine down so much more quickly. But yeah, I think just across is going to be enough. Because what, we're 2 hours in and I didn't get this built immediately, and this thing is at its maximum extension, which is... drumroll... 96 meters. So as long as the ore is less than 90, probably needs to be less than like 92 meters down, we would be able to get it with this drill. Yeah, I suppose if I did a drill like this, I could just make a square one and not rotate it. I was still thinking this thing would be spinning, so therefore would not create doom voxels. Still wondering how to handle the deep ores mod. Yeah. Hey, J-Dog. Yeah, the super deep ores are, there's something... When I first came across them, I was like, yeah, this is gonna be so much fun. I'll be able to build like full-on mining tunnels down to them. I'll establish myself a full-on mining base at the bottom. And the bit that always brought me back to reality, well, all but once, was that getting down to them the first time can be fun. Repeatedly doing that is rarely necessary and often not very fun either. It seems like it'd be cool to create a path to drive down there, but I think part of the reason it isn't cool and isn't fun is the way that Space Engineers voxels the grid size that they're working on. Something I really want to do when I get my hands on Space Engineers 2 is see if the grid voxel, the grid size for voxels is also smaller. Because if the grid size for voxels is smaller, even without the smoothing that we get with voxel hands, with drills we should be able to make more traversable roads. But Trax, the rock lobster wasn't even smooth anyway. It was just designed to tolerate the bumpiness of the road. Like, the advantage the rock lobster has when it hits a bump is that each of these wheels can move and the whole body can remain relatively stable. That was the whole design philosophy behind having the wheels so tightly packed. That this thing can actually just drive across those little ridge lines that it creates. I love this thing so much. This is probably my favorite mining vehicle I've ever made. It's got character. It looks the part. It technically functions from first-person view. And it's a properly functional mining rover.
Fuel critical.
Is it possible to change the drilling sphere into different shapes? I don't know, Defraggle. I don't know if that's something you can do. Like, I presume with plugins and whatnot, yeah, sure, but I don't know if it's something normally doable with mods to change the shape of the removal area for drills. Yeah, Triax, it was a challenge coming up with a way to design the rock lobster so that you could control the pitch of the surface you're driving on so that you can get in there and actually mine reasonable amounts of resources and create a path that you can traverse. As it is so easy with rover miners to mine in front of you, drive onto that, and now you're slightly angled down. So you drill deeper, so you drive forward, so you drill deeper, and eventually you're just pointing straight down. Or you've exploded because you've reached too steep an angle before that. I think across is the way to go. I think across is fine. Mounted at the front there, I don't think it'll be too bad. One thing that I do notice is that the Ronco looks like it's going to be very front heavy with that on there. So what I probably need to do is consider how we might counterbalance that a bit. And it may involve doing something like this. Oops. And putting our cargo system at the back here or something like that. Yeah, stationary extending drills are a good way to get a nicer surface, but it's still not going to be a perfect surface, unfortunately. But it is usually a nicer surface. So I'm thinking this could be a way to move some mass rearward. And also ends up looking a bit like a spoiler on the front on this section. We can fit quite a few across here. Like, that's a whole extra module compared to what we've got. And once this drill is built, we can duplicate this setup on this side, and then cargo storage isn't a problem. Though, there is the part of me that wonders, maybe we'll have enough to just build a large grid cargo container somewhere? Because that would be probably better overall. Just have one big container. Oh yeah, if TFE doesn't keep taking the grids, yes, I do mean that, Eisen. Yes, as long as TFE doesn't keep using up all the grids for guns that get destroyed, it'll be fine. I think for this one I'd probably want to, much like I did with the other one, add some extra hinges, but they wouldn't be piped up. Hey, lazy man. How's it going? Yes, wobble wobble. Why did I do that? I don't need that there. I need to build it from here. So it'll be that, then that, and then an attach. And that at least makes sure that we've got more than one attachment point, as proven by the extra one that I built on here being necessary when I accidentally detached it. Yeah, the trailer was originally going to have some cargo modules and stuff on it. Then it got a tree, which isn't here because I didn't make it as part of the blueprint. But yeah, it got a tree. So that's not really gonna work at all, which is unfortunate.
Critical.
What is the purpose of this thing? For those of you who aren't familiar with my Wrong Way Out series over on YouTube, this is a rover designed to operate in an environment where we are not allowing ourselves the use of large grid control seats. And I am redesigning the drill for that vehicle. Ladies and gentlemen, Wrong Way Up would be the series you're probably thinking of. Wrong Way Out is the new season of that thing, which started 2 months ago? Yeah, 2 months ago. Yeah, episode 3 is where I came up with these wheels. I'm quite proud of them. I will be right back, everyone. I need to take a quick bio break. Then I'm going to have a bit of a think about some other drill designs that I want to muck around with in general. We might do the screen that doesn't break at the moment. We'll be right back. The drill part's just wobbly. Full stop. Did I add share and extensor on that? Yeah, I did. I think it's just gonna be wobbly. I probably got share and extensor on all of the things, but I might have missed one or two, and that might be why. Maybe? Maybe it finally reached a mass where it was a problem. This is going to jiggle so much on the server. It's going to be so bad. Yeah, it's on the whole way through. All right. Yeah, I think we may have reached the point where this is too heavy to be practical with all those extra drills on it, as it is a bit heavier once they're gone. A bit happier once they're gone, I should say. Not happy, but still it's happier. Our Rover is just like a chihuahua, nervous shaking all the time. Yeah, a little bit. I'm so looking forward to building this thing and having everyone yell at me. And how oversized it is. I can't think of a way to make this more compact. Like how do I try and make this into something that would be
critical.
less jiggly? I don't know that it's possible. There is a part of me that wants to make it collapse more centrally so that the drill head isn't sticking out the front. But let's see how neat or not this looks. Over it goes. I don't think that's better. I wasn't sure, but I'm now pretty convinced. Oh. I mean, it looks more interesting. I guess there's that. You can spin the drills while driving. Look, Mom! I'm jet-powered now! Oh dear. A fair point. A gyroscope might do something here. There are a few limitations of us actually using a gyroscope in wrong way out that we can't really overcome, but they might work here to reduce some of the wobble. Never sure how much they actually help on a server though. Okay. What was I doing? I got distracted. I mean, the Prototech drill would obviously be better, but the Prototech drill is something we don't have access to, so I didn't see any real reason to mess with it. Because I genuinely wanted to have to figure out something that was going to work for us in our survival game. So the Prototech drill would... I'd still want more than just it, because its area of excavation is still not going to be quite big enough. How heavy is it? I don't think it's particularly heavy compared to a drill. Unless the Prototech panels are a lot heavier.
Fuel critical.
And the machinery, I don't know their mass. Because, like, it's 300 steel plate for a drill in large grid, which would be the comparator. I guess the easiest way to test would be to do this. Total mass 13,534. Total mass 6,7. It's double the mass. So they're actually lightweight compared to regular drills. Because you'd need 9 of these to do the same job. I think once a rig like this is built, there's no way Wasted's going to try and grind it down. The downside of this rig, though, it doesn't make a very good crane. It wouldn't be a terrible crane, but it doesn't make a very good crane. And I was hoping for something to be dual purpose. But yeah, the main driver of the better drill is to be able to get more magnesium so that we can be less reliant on what we steal. Sorry, recover. I guess with Park, you probably could get this under some decent control. I think because I've got this hinge here, you would probably be able to make this into a reasonably effective crane. Especially if you have a separate attachment for this. So I could start off with this design and then fiddle around with ways to set up Park so I can control it. If only you could use tier 3 drills from a seat. Then we could just stick catback on the end of a long arm with a collector on it. That would work. Gyroscopes, that's what I was doing. Finally remembered. So we do have some small grid ones. I don't think they're going to do enough. Nope. And I don't think we can afford a large grid one. I also don't feel like it does a lot. I don't think the gyroscope itself does a lot. I think the mass of the gyroscope might be what people see as making a difference to the jiggle. It may well be mostly a mass thing rather than actual control thing. Because the share inertia tensor function basically is sharing the mass between the two connected grids, effectively increasing the mass of both sides of it, which is why it settles things down. But also then you need more torque, which means if you collide with something, you explode. Now we've got gyros. We've found some. We've acquired some through totally legitimate means. They're decorations on the tree. I turned them into Christmas decorations. Small grid ones. Large grid ones need too many grids for us to be likely to make one. They cost 50 each. But if we get that many grids, we can do it. There's not much use for a gyroscope on a large grid when you can't control the gyroscope.
Fuel critical.
Yeah, every Gatling gun that TFE has destroyed is one cargo container we could have built. Yeah, Defraggle, the large grid gyros are not removed from our build queue. We are missing critical parts to be able to make them, but they're allowed. But yeah, gyros don't really help us here, because we can't steer with gyros. We can't do any of that stuff, but there's no reason for us to use a gyroscope. Because most of the stuff you use a gyroscope for, under normal circumstances, is controlling from a control seat. If we don't have control seats, gyros don't do much. TFE, what do you think moving the whole drill apparatus does? It allows me to mirror the subgrid storage. Because I can get rid of all the stuff that's on this side, but I couldn't mirror it because the drill was in the way. No, I just tested with the gyros, they made no difference. The thing that might make a difference would be if I put more mass back here, but I don't think it'll make much difference. The amount of torque we work with in Space Engineers tends to not really matter too much on that front. Yeah, I think this will be a decent drill for the Ronco. I think this will hold up pretty well. I think the main thing is to see what speeds I had going on here and then see how much faster it, like, make sure I start with those speeds and then gradually increase them, knowing that I've got these extra drills that should allow me to go possibly 50% faster. I'm not thinking that it'll double the speed, but I think maybe 50% faster these would allow me to go. Can I show the Phantom Forces via locking? Yeah, sure. Easy. Where's the clip of me flipping the Ronco? Hang on. I've got that. Wrong way out. That'll be in teaser 4, I reckon. Welcome to Wrong Way Out. Let's explain what's happening here. No control seats for large grid.
I lied, this is worse than I thought you were going to do.
Rotors are strong enough that they'd be able to flip the whole Rover over. Whoa! Speaking of... I mean, there's a Phantom Force.
What have you done?
But that's not the Phantom Force we're talking about. That was just me placing a wheel that interacted with another block. Yes, I have quite literally reinvented the wheel in Space Engineers. And it is perfect. Whoa! Oh, oh dear! Oh dear! We don't have a safety!
Oh no, it's going to run down without the Rover. Stop!
No, I can't climb the ladder because it's moving! Yes. That's still the sandwiches. That's the flipping over. Okay, maybe it wasn't this one.
Oh no.
Need to go a bit further.
I think we were in New York.
Welcome to Wrong.
Can I jump this thing?
Why is TFE in the air?
Every time I
Oh, yeah, here we go.
I see this palm tree, and I'm like, what is that? What, there's a huge palm tree over there, and then I realize it's us.
I mean, you'd hope that there was
Here we go.
remarkably little clang in most of... So, that landing gear is locking this grid. It's connected to the same grid that this hinge rotor is. If that ever attaches at a point where this doesn't want, what we do here.
Well, that's
This is what
what
happens.
I hope for.
You're hoping for things to go wrong?
Yeah, it's more interesting that way.
Oh no! Oh dear!
Yep, that'll do it.
My tree.
Uh-oh. Can I get it control? Nope.
Oh, it's wrestling with one of the moved wheels.
Of course, the one that's causing this is still attached. Oh,
I did it.
a bit late now.
My tree. No. The tree's
So that's the potential problem. But let's show it in effect here. So we'd probably want to use... Oh, it's not going to allow me to place that, is it? It's going to be annoying.
Fuel critical.
So we could say lock it there. So if we bring this up. And then we'll proper thing down. Like, you could certainly do this in ways that are safe. It's just, it's one of those things where it can go wrong. So that's now locked. And that hinge is trying to generate some phantom forces. That's why this side's jiggling, but this bit's nice and stable. Ish. No, the whole rover's just jiggling. Then if you use something that's actually got some good torque on it, oh, that exploded before I thought it would. Need more twisting. I think that's what we need. But yeah, the torque direction here was in this direction. So obviously the masses here are going to prevent it from flipping. This seems fine as is. I might want to do a quick reload, since I just broke something that's actually going to be annoying to fix. It's just one of those things that I know can go wrong, so I try to avoid it. Even though I know it can be fine. It's kind of like, it's like P. If you are perfect and you can every single time manage to remember to turn off use with parking, sure. But if you don't, then every now and then it's going to go wrong. And it's going to be bad. But it also didn't seem to make much difference with the jiggling, to be honest. Just then. The jiggling was still present. Yeah, if they'd listened to what I suggested to them at the time and they didn't make parking on by default, then P would be safe. But because it's not the default, it's not safe. Safer, but not safe. So you can do that, and you can argue that that's more stable. But I don't like the way this is jiggling, knowing that it's got a fixed point at both ends. The large cargo can't really go here because the assembler's here. The assembler would have to move, which is something that's on the cards to happen. It just hasn't happened yet. But yeah, large cargo could probably go here. Yeah. I could probably rearrange things for that. Annoying to grind down some batteries to make it do it, but could certainly be done. The drill just really needs to move first for all this to be feasible. Oh. That's some fun twisting on those hinges. I should probably copy this before I make it explode itself. What the heck are those wheels? They are perfection. They are pure perfection, that's what they are. But yeah, this is less clangy than I expected, so maybe I'm remembering problems from long ago and I'm being that old crotchety scientist that hasn't kept an open mind. Reverse all the hinges. Alright, let's see if I can make this clang out. Still okay. Oh, that's fun. Oh, we are now getting some torque. Oh, Rover is jiggling slightly. Yeah, so things like this seems extreme, what's just happened. However, this is what would happen is if we didn't unlock that and started the drill's deployment sequence. So, yeah. Very real possibility. Hey, Shadow. Thank you for 3 years. Thank you very much, and hope everything's going well. I hope you have a fun New Year's tomorrow. Yeah, it'll be tomorrow. Or it is New Year's Day, New Year's Eve for you now, I think. Whoa. Whoa. Unlock the landing gear. Alright. Let's do it. Because this is what often happens is you go, oh no, 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 and then you suddenly go, bam!
Fuel critical.
Oh. Now isn't that fun? Ah, that's still attached. Interesting. This is the sort of thing where Catback runs up to it and gets flung 200 meters away. Alternate super gridding methods. Yeah, yeah, true. True, true. I'm so curious what's gonna happen when I do this. Blam. Huh. It's surprisingly not unhappy. Look at those wheels just chew through that grid. That was ridiculous. I've got to try that now. It looked like it was just chewing it. Yeah, BattleBot style, just chomping. Wonder if large grid BattleBots would be better than small grid. Doesn't that happen every time you run over one of TFE's rovers? Shh! No! That totally doesn't happen! That totally doesn't happen! Oh, I did lose a set in the middle. You're right. Didn't come out of it unscathed. Look, the rear hinge suspension thing is, I think something we will eventually not have. We need some articulation there, but I think it will go from being... Ooh. It'll go from being a single, like go from being the double hinge to being a single. Oh.
Fuel
That was a thing.
critical.
That was certainly a thing. Destruction is fun. I hope they don't make the grids in the SE2 so strong that that's not doable. Yeah, I'm so gonna need to... I'm happy with the reach of this, because let's go have a look at I'll just grab this. Oh wait, no. I'll do it a better way. We go antenna, battery, and ore detector. Let's go find an ore patch. Because I think the ore patches we're dealing with are the same rough depth as vanilla. So if we have a look here. Cobalt, 60 meters down. Straight down. Silver, 40 meters down. Let's try another deposit. The jalopy jump planets with less damage? I don't know that that's true. We lost like 2/3 of the jalopy going between planets. Right, give me yours. Yep, 30 from the surface. 20 from the surface. I think vanilla's a little less deep than what we're dealing with, but not by much. So I reckon 90 meters will get us... Sure, we might find some that we can't reach, but we're going to be able to reach most of them. Like this cobalt, maybe we can't reach. To actually get the drill to do the mining. Yeah, I'm looking forward to messing around with SE2 and actually getting my hands on it and seeing what bits feel better, seeing what bits we have to annoy Keen until they change, so because they don't feel better. That sort of stuff. I'm also looking forward to Monday, if I can get this drill built, finding out who it is who falls down one of these holes first.
Because anyone who falls down is gone. There's no way you're surviving that fall. Am I going to unload the drill arm? What do you mean, J-Rock? It's fully conveyed, so everything that's in it will be brought back out. Retraction is relatively easy. I just need to make sure I set up actual controls that allow me to have the different speeds for it. So if we go back to remote, and we have our retraction, we can go groups, drill pistons, set velocity -1. Then we can have drill hinges. Set velocity, I think it's my... I'm not going to go super quick because I don't think they like going super quick. I think that's right. So let's give that a go. So we retract the pistons. And they come up nice and quickly. And then the hinges need to do their thing. Seems to be going fairly controlled right now. I probably don't want these going too quickly, just in case one of the hinges has locked itself because of going past its maximum range, and it needs a jiggle to get back in. I always like to build drill rigs on large rovers by drilling over an ore deposit and having piston, conveyor curve, piston, and so on. Yeah, the nested piston design is one I've done a few times. I did it, I think the first time I did it properly was in Survival Maybe, where I used the nested pistons for my lift inside my base. But this comes out of the ground pretty quickly. And then I just need to have the controls to set the other pistons and things and rotors and stuff to stop doing the thing, which I can't be bothered setting up right now. So that it can flip itself up and retract those two pistons. Exploratory warhead mining. It certainly can be effective for clearing out large amounts of voxel. The biggest challenge with it is they are quite expensive from a magnesium perspective, but if we can get this mining rig built and actually use it to collect a couple of bits of magnesium, then it's probably okay. Do you know what part of me wants to do? Rather than having this across drill head, design it so that it can fan out, so it can get down to the bottom and then start pushing outward, so it gets down to whatever level the ore is at. And because they're usually a pancake, if it has somehow had some extra drills on pistons mounted on here, so if I stop this for a minute, because the getting down to the deposit thing takes so long, what if I do this? I had something like this, which is sort of what I did in Assertive Acquisitions. I had a drill that could then expand. Oh, the jiggling makes it hard to place these blocks. So I had that, and then when you get down there, you just slowly expand this out, and you kind of hollow out a much larger radius because of that extra drill. But I'm not sure that's going to be necessary for the added complexity and risk. And just the difficulty controlling that remotely. But this is totally, I think, one of the better ways to get yourself, like if you can make a drill like this, that's built, that's movable over a deposit. You drill a small hole in, and then you have this expanding drill head that just keeps boring out wider and wider and wider down the bottom. And then you retract it back in, pull it back out the tiny hole. A hinge to tilt the lower drills? What do you mean? I'm not sure how tilting the drills would be helpful. Because you'd still be roughly within that same sphere of where you can reach. Yeah, if you're not too deep, like if you're not at the full extension of all of the pistons, you could totally do something like manipulating one of these hinges, retracting a piston to its minimum extension, manipulating the hinges, and then just pushing in with the last piston, pushing toward the ore with that. I think to optimize that setup, you'd probably want to rotor up the top here as well, so that you can choose which angle, and then you can spin around from the top bit. Yeah, keyhole mining. Yeah, exactly, JRL. That's pretty much precisely what was in my head. Keyhole mining. Which is a bit of fun to try and set up. Defraggle, I don't think the Ronco in its current setup can really get more segments. I think for us to get... Actually, let's test this. I want to test this right now. I think to get the Ronco to actually... Actually, we'll grab this one. To be able to tolerate more segments, we need to do a different thing with the joint between the segment and actually make it do the steering. I have no idea if it even works. Oh, the Ronco doesn't care about a hole like that in front of it. It bridges that hole comfortably. What just exploded? Weird. Yeah. Sure it wasn't important. Oh, it was the tailgate. Yeah, it wasn't important. Even in creative mode, I'm destroying those regularly. Okay, you just go away, because you just keep exploding. And that is why I don't like the drills. So, what I'm going to do is probably cause this to clang out. Because why not? But I might be able to make it somewhat safe. So that's just so that I can do this. Which I wasn't too unhappy about. And then, instead of having this be articulated, or maybe in addition to having it articulated in this orientation, we also articulate it this way. Now, I think that's going to require removing some of the front of this. Because we want that joint to be as close to center of the wheel axles as we can. Okay, yeah, I thought that wasn't going to be happy, so let's level this out.
No, let me place you. Grr. It's kind of flexed in a weird way. That's not going to let me do this. Oh, wait, I have an idea. That might have given me enough room. Or not. Come on, let me place it. I want it. But normally what I'd do with a hinge setup like this and hitching would be creating even more freedom of movement, but I want less here. So I want to see, there we go. I wanted to get that in there like that. We attach that side, and then we remove this. So now I have a steering hinge. So for the most part, this one probably needs to be fairly stable. So let's call this steering hinge. And I want to see if this can actually steer. So for steering, because if that can steer, what this means is I can make a steering wheel. I can have a throttle lever, a single throttle lever that controls all the wheels, makes them move forward at a particular speed, and then I steer with a steering wheel, which is all of these hinges. Because then I can make another segment at the back here that has another hinge that is also turns, and they all try and steer together. But without this, and using tank steering, we can't get longer. So, I need a couple of buttons. Actually, maybe I'll do it this way. Where is button panel? So I have 2 left, 2 right, and a reset.
Fuel critical.
2 resets just because even symmetry, the evilness of that thing. So this wants to go to steering, and I want to wait. I don't know which way is left or right. So to turn left, I want this to go positive. To turn right, I want it to go negative. Yeah. Left, positive, right, negative. So rotate to angle. Let's go 30. Whoa, 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 whoa. Rotate to angle. Not at 30 RPM, thank you. At 5. Then we'll have this one. Steering. Rotate to angle. We'll go 15. At 5. And this side we do the same. Minus 15 at 5. Rotate to angle. Minus 30 at 5. Then these two will be steering. Rotate to angle 0. Rotate to angle 0 at 5. Cool. So let's press this and see what happens. Is the hinge trying to turn? It is trying. Might need more torque. That might be too much. But let's see. If I reset it, we're now straight. Let's start rolling and then see what happens. Drive forward. Forward. Restart the wheels. And now we want to turn left. Try harder. Ooh. Try a little less hard. Hey! We are getting some steer. Let's have a look at this from third person. It is wobbling around like nobody's business. But we're getting some steer. I can build a steering wheel! Because I can have a steering wheel that has event controllers set to wherever the steering wheel is turned to. I can have a steering wheel instead of having 2 throttle levers that I have to control independently. Well, what I'm thinking is the next segment should be just the same size as the front segment. It should have 4 wheels on it, not just 2. Because that way the 2 of them can kind of counterbalance each other. And then if we need more segments, they again get 4 wheels.
Fuel critical.
And then if I want to turn right. Oh. And if I want to get kicked out of the seat. Oh, okay. 30 degrees is too far. The wheels collide. That's good to know. That's why it's not happy with that.
Fuel critical.
Oh, that was a hole. It took that like a champ. Yeah. Yeah, I think this is the answer. I think this is the answer for me wanting a steering wheel, because I really do want a steering wheel. A steering wheel will be much nicer to control with. And shouldn't judder around so much. And then I can mess with other throttle setups too. Ones that can lock in like people have suggested I do. But I can even have a button on the throttle lever that is a rotor lock, because it would be strong enough in this instance. Like the button that's on the top,
Critical.
instead of being like a reset, could be a rotor lock, so that I can lock it in that position, that throttle, so that the bouncing around doesn't make me go faster if I want to stay slow. That sort of thing. Put it on a piston that extends as the hinge turns to avoid a collision. Yeah, I think we probably just want to set reasonable limits to the hinge range. Like 30 degrees was probably me overreaching by a considerable margin. But the nice thing about this, if we can build a whole extra... So, if we can build this whole bit on the back, so we've got an extra pair of wheels back here, that gives us a whole big area back here that can be turned into cargo, or more usefully,
maybe once we get thrusters, a runway, a hangar, that sort of thing. And even better, it could be a way to mount like a drill that just doesn't have to be mounted in the middle of the vehicle the way this one is. But that's probably not important if this one works. It could do... I'm trying to think of what else it could be useful for. It could be useful for ground access because we could have then mounted in the center of that a ground access lift that has cargo. I don't think we're going to need differential steering, no. As long as the hinge turns far enough, I think it'll work. It should work. But this does work, so I'm kind of looking forward to trying this out. Yeah, this idea for wheels is unusual, but it is surprisingly effective. It's a nice vanilla way of getting around the torque issues with large grid wheels and the taking damage from the ground issues of having only the clearance of a 5x5 wheel. I've made designs for simple suspensions for this, and I will want to employ that at some point, but the suspension designs that I've built, Wasted's done some really complex ones, which basically means we're not going to build them because you don't want to build a complex suspension setup in survival. It's horrible. Because you can't copy paste, you have to build every single subgrid. It would take him weeks and weeks to build. But I built very simple ones with...
Fuel critical.
this. The banana for scale has some pretty simple suspension setup. It's a pair of hinges. Well, in this case, it's a rotor and a single hinge. So this single hinge provides suspension. It's not a proper spring because it doesn't get more difficult to compress as it goes up. It's just got a flat torque value, and it is constantly trying to push itself back into this lifted position. So this works pretty well at giving some suspension. What's on fire?
Fuel critical.
Oh, one of these got damaged at some point. So this, as you can see as I turn around a corner, does provide a bit of suspension and a bit of extra grip. It's not perfect, but I think this is about as far as we probably want to go with adding suspension to the Ronco. It does help us get extra grip, but it doesn't create so many extra subgrids and so much challenge to the build that we don't end up getting it ever finished. Pistons are non-compressible, so they are not springs, unfortunately, even though they look like they could be. Yeah, I think this would be the way I'd go with it. And yes, this is how far I've taken the wheels. And also, the short that I made with this has done ridiculously well Apparently putting a banana in a thumbnail that looks like it's built from blocks is an effective tool on YouTube. The spinners, yeah. Especially when the spinners go crazy. Oh! We've lost some segments. Oh, we lost a spinner and a wheel. No! Oh! The banana got smushed. This looks like it's just crawling its way out of... it's just... I feel like it's in its own little war movie right now. Oh. Can't see.
Fuel critical.
Oh, well, we've reached that point of the day. Well, I'm actually going to wrap up here because I've got to go do some things that are time critical. As in I have to do them before X time today. I will be back on Friday with some more stationeers and launching my rockets and hopefully having my rocket land at my base and not fall back down to my base and explode half of my base because it's got too much fuel on board. So I'll be back on Friday with that. There may be a couple of extra streams coming while Wasted's recovering. We might play a bit more of Forever Skies together. As I think it's a fairly chill enough game that he might be able to manage it better with his limited movement of his left hand. So, yeah. Then I'll be back. Wrong Way Out will be back on this coming Monday. I'll be sure to post the stream thing to YouTube so you can click the reminder before it. And I'll be doing some other stuff on Sunday. I think I'm going to try some Hydroneer on Sunday. For those familiar with it. Just as something... because every Sunday I've just been trying a new game lately and I'm kind of enjoying trying a bunch of new things. Seeing what they like. So yeah, there's all that. And plenty more to come. And I will see you then. Have a good one, everyone. Bye.